What's up guys, Sunny here with a different kind of video. We're going to take a look at some of my favorite cards in Runeterra. This list is kind of comparable to a little girl who orders her toys based on appearance, so don't think of it like a gambler who calculates the odds of every horse in a horse race, trying to figure out what to put his money on. This is just like, my opinion. This might sound weird, but I actually frequently get asked what my favorite cards are, in a way like those people want to gauge my personality through my taste in virtual cards. And in case you're here for that, don't worry, it's not as real or karma. For this list though, I'm going to limit myself to picking from Rising Tides cards, because the release of that expansion, I really started playing Runeterra non-stop. So, with that little disclaimer out of the way, these are the absolute coolest 10 cards in my opinion. To kick off this list, we're starting with a card from Freljord. The clip might be showing the Demolitionist, who is also from Rising Tides, but we don't do aggro here. Or, well, we tried to keep it minimal. Number 10 is actually Ruthless Raider, a card that looks pretty simple on the surface, but has many different small little synergies going for her in the right kind of deck. You want to deal 1 damage to her? She don't care. On the contrary, it kinda looks like she's into that kind of stuff. The Crimson package from Noxus should honestly recruit her into their circle, because she laughs when something tries to hit her for 1. But it doesn't stop there. This girl is also packing Overwhelm to enable plunder effects with ease. Having 2 keywords on an early minion that also gives pressure on the board can be such a huge deal if you're playing in the right deck. I really enjoy flexible cards that can be used in different ways, especially when they are as subtle as they are with the Ruthless Raider. I'm just going to say this right now. If this tier list was based on adorableness, this would be number 1. Just listen to those voice lines. The reason I like Shellshocker is because if you play her in a deck with spells, you're not really losing much by playing her on turn 1 because of a tune. Pay 1 mana for the unit, get 1 spell mana. So you always go into turn 2 with 1 spell mana and 2 regular mana. The fact you can do something like this on turn 1 is actually much more relevant than you might think. Getting in 2 damage or having a blocker for free can set the tone for the rest of the game, depending on the deck you're playing against. For Demacia, I got Ranger's Resolve. Obviously one of the strongest cards in the game right now if used right. It's less powerful than it was at the start of the expansion, because people are playing either hyper-aggressive decks that don't care about trading their units, or just heavy control decks which only play a few minions at a time. And you're obviously not going to get much value trading your mid-range minion into a Darius or Riptide Rex. I enjoy mid-range much more than control or mindless aggro, and that's exactly where this card finds most of its value. Easy inclusion, and the only surprising thing for people that watch me is probably that it's not much higher on the list. For number 7 on this list, I have a confession to make. I like dragons. I like big monsters. I like building wide boards with powerful, badass looking cards to win games. There's exactly one archetype in Runeterra that fulfills this fantasy better than any card game ever has for me, and that's Deep. The reason I chose Shipwreck Order out of all the sea monsters is because of the treasures he puts in your deck. Those treasures are incredible at swinging the games, and retrieving 1 from the depths of your deck is really awesome. Keelbreaker to clear the board and make it safer to summon more scary sea monsters, Plateworm Egg to instantly fill your board with big creatures, and the Treasure Trove to fill your hand with cards, because why the hell not? Deep is awesome, and if you play Runeterra, it's one of the decks you need to try at least once, because no other card game can accomplish having a deck like this and still make it feel fair and balanced. For the most part at least. In total, Rising Tide has brought us 3 boats, with their captain or general on board. One of them is pretty clearly a lot better than the others, but that's not the boat that earned the number 6 spot on this list. Misfortune's boat, the Siren, is the one that I like much more than the others. And that's not just because I play more Misfortune decks than Gangplank or Swain decks. The reason is because of how synergistic this card is with Misfortune and their spells. Even cards like Double Up become a lot better by adding just a single point of damage. But where it gets explosive is when you combine all the keywords this card offers. The boat draws you Misfortune, so let's imagine you're going into an attack turn with Misfortune and the Siren on your bench. You start by scouting with the boat, and Misfortune's spell will deal 2 damage. Now let's pretend Misfortune leveled up. Because he deals 1 damage 3 times, that now means he deals 2 damage 3 times. Hello? Value please. Sunny's joining you. Yes, I'll hold. I have an entire day dedicated to this card on my stream, where all I play on that given day is decks with this card in it. Fizz Friday is always kind of the highlight of my week because of how much I enjoy making my opponents fume when I dodge their removal. I can't guarantee the decks are always competitive or meta defining, but I can guarantee they will be hilarious and loads of fun. When I saw Fizz revealed, I wasn't really sure how it would function in game, because having to cast multiple spells each turn sounded like something that's not very easy to consistently accomplish, but it's actually a lot easier than it sounds. Always making sure you have enough mana to potentially dodge your opponent's removal is a pretty fun little minigame that excites me every time I have Fizz on the board. If you're ever bored on a Friday and want to see a fish dance around with his pogo stick, don't forget to stop by the stream. If you were to go to my YouTube channel page right now, this is the card you'd see on like 50% of the thumbnails. And also, if you've been to my stream more than once, you know how much I like playing scouts. It just so happens that Misfortune is a perfect match for the Demacian Rangers. The animation of our dual guns popping up on the side of the screen and blasting the opponent during an attacking turn feels so rewarding and never gets old. Leveling her up is on an entirely different level. I don't think I've ever lost a game with a level 2 Misfortune, which just goes to show the power level of this card. I was never a huge fan of Misfortune on regular League of Legends because of how one-dimensional her voice lines are, and her playstyle isn't super interesting to me either. But Runeterra turned me around completely. Honestly, this card game has made me play champions that I didn't play much before, like Nautilus and Misfortune, just because of how badass they are in Legends of Runeterra. It's interesting to think about all the lore this game has added to the franchise, and how much world building it actually has done. This might be a topic for another video though, because I can get completely lost in talking about design and thematics, especially for a game I feel so passionate towards. Speaking of champion counterparts on regular League of Legends, Twisted Fate is somebody I actually play a lot. But trust me, that's not the reason why he's so high on this list. It's honestly the fact that Runeterra managed to create a card of a character that's known as the Card Master in a card game and have it work this well. This card just feels fair. I mean, a lot less so when you manage to level him up, but that's not an easy thing to do in most games, because he only has 2 HP. That kinda reminds me of the original reception when he got revealed, which wasn't what I expected at all. People thought he was going to be weak because of how easy he is to remove, but I saw the potential he had and played him in almost every deck I could make at the start of the expansion. Twisted Fate as a card is so cool and such a powerhouse because of his flexibility. When he hits the board, you pick a card that's right for the current board state. When he levels up, you just keep flinging cards at the opponent until they can't deal with all the value you're generating anymore. The design is so elegant and satisfying. All I can do is give my compliments to the designers because they nailed it. His followers are amazing too. The whole thematic with fleeting cards like you're cheating and pulling cards from your sleeves is so flavorful and exciting to play with. Bilgewater is just this card. It's perfect and I love it. It was difficult putting this embodiment of the casino at number 2 and not at number 1, but he has a bit of a hard time finding a broader range of decks than the ones he's currently in, so I couldn't really justify putting him at the number 1 spot of my list. Either way, Slotbot creates an exciting moment every single turn because of the anticipation of what his stat might become. His voice lines just make me smile every time I hear them too. The way he just goes, "What did we get?" right before he rerolls his stats just makes me happy, and I can't fully explain why. I also think the Casino deck, the same one where Twisted Fate is an important cornerstone, is one of the most brilliant and exciting decks ever created in a card game. It's frustratingly hard to play, but so rewarding when done right. The fact an inconsistent card like Slotbot can be an important win condition in a deck like that is mind-blowing, and goes to show how fresh and innovative the designers of Runeterra are. They aren't afraid to push the limit on a card, and they still find a way to make it feel balanced. Before I reveal number 1, I have some honorable mentions. One of them is Make It Rain, because of how satisfying it is to clear 1 health minions against aggro decks, or to get an exact snipe you needed. And then Maokai, because saplings are cute and summoning them to kill your opponent's units, or to use them as blockers, is extremely valuable. And I suppose milling your opponent's entire deck is pretty cool too. Yeah, not bad at all. Last card that barely got left out of the list is Riptide Rex. This card is the win condition of many mid-range Bilgewater decks. I think the variance on this card is slightly too high sometimes, and that can lead to some feel-bad moments, which is why I decided not to include it. But those cannonballs though. And now, for the final card on this list. The biggest, baddest, bubbliest.
Hey everyone!
Okay, it's not actually Bubblebeer, but he still has a place in my heart. The actual number 1 is Genevieve Elmhart.
The wood can't fight back, but I can.
She's the most frequent answer I've given to people when they ask me what my favorite card is, with special mentions to Slotbot every time, because honestly, it was a very hard choice to make. But since Jenny is the one that got me to Master in this season of Fortune, I had to give her the number 1 spot. I just love playing Genevieve, and even though she only found a home in Demacia Scout decks, I think people are sleeping on this card, and she should be viable in many other decks that just haven't been discovered yet. She's a good example of how you can leverage a deck's mechanics and synergy to such an extreme point that playing her on your attacking turn very often means that you can outright win the game on the spot. Couple that with awesome voice lines and cool looking art, and you'll find yourself on the top of my favorite card list. I hope you guys enjoyed my personal list. Let me know if you think I missed any, perhaps your favorite cards, and I'll see you guys in the next video.